Good day, Machine Masters, and welcome to News Rewind, JNN's look at the top stories of the week that was. A state of emergency was last Sunday declared for the St. Catherine North Division, which has seen an upsurge in criminal activities since the start of the year. As we hear in this report, the state of emergency will last for 14 days and is an effort by the government to stem the increasing crime rate.
The Prime Minister says that it comes against the escalating incidents of crimes, especially murders in the St. Catherine North Police Division. Over the last 3 years, it has been trending up with 48 murders between January and March 8 this year.
Under the enhanced security measures, the security forces will have extraordinary powers and some rights will be suspended. This does not mean that the use of these extraordinary powers can be arbitrary or are beyond review. The security forces are expected and have been directed to treat citizens with respect and to protect the dignity and safety of all Jamaicans. The security forces will have the powers to search, curtail operating hours of businesses, access to places, and to detain persons without a warrant. All persons using all roadways leading into and out of the St. Catherine North area will be subject to vehicle and personal search.
Deputy Commissioner of Police Clifford Blake noted that Linstead, Bugwalk, and Spanish Town will come under specific scrutiny.
The St. Catherine North Division had the largest gang operating in Jamaica, the Klansman gang. This gang has been responsible for scores of murders, robberies, and extortion, not only in St. Catherine, but in neighboring parishes. There is a high level of extortion existing in St. Catherine and in particular Spanish Town. There's a threat to public safety and the rule of law.
Head of the JDF, Major General Rocky Meade, indicated where some resources will be coming from to make the new crime measure effective.
Our Jamaica National Service Corps persons, which have been a valuable addition to our ranks, will be deployed on this operation. 241 Jamaica National Service Corps personnel will be deployed where they will learn from our more experienced soldiers in a major real-world, real-life security scenario, as is very normal. The level of training and experience that the JNC personnel have acquired so far made them well-suited for increased levels of involvement in our security operations. They'll be used primarily for operational support and administration.
But with the addition of another state of emergency and 2 areas of zones of special operations, what are the implications for human resources? That question was put to the Prime Minister.
Resources are always a challenge, and it is not just the financial resource, it is the manpower resource. And yes, it has been a constraint in terms of how fast we can execute the plan. The plans are there. We're not short of plans. We know what to do. The question is the resources to actually implement, which is why we have been acting in a very strategic way in increasing the intake training both in the JDF and the JCF so that we can have additional manpower.
He also announced that the Emergency Powers Review Tribunal will be named shortly.
Newly appointed Commissioner of Police, Major General Anthony Anderson, has received the full confidence of the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness. More in this report.
Speaking at Sunday's press conference at Jamaica House, where the second state of emergency was announced for the St. Catherine North Police Division, Prime Minister Andrew Holness expressed his credence in the new commissioner.
I expect that he will be able to do very well in the JCF, which is a different environment, a different structure. I'm certain that he will be respectful of the structure, the organization, and that he will build a strong alliance with the policemen, and that he will assist in the transformation of the organization.
And Frontline News visited the commissioner on his first day in office on Monday. He gave his thoughts on the current state of emergency in the St. Catherine North Division and noted that the police and military need the necessary mobility to tackle crime in the division.
The state of emergency is just one of a suite of enhanced security measures that we're using, whether it's through a zone of special operations or through a state of emergency. The fact is that these are taking place where we have significant violence, significant murder, and gangs are operating in these areas who are doing it, and we need to have the necessary flexibility and agility to treat with these matters.
Commissioner Anderson replaced former Police Commissioner George Coelho, who resigned in January.
Meanwhile, the probe is now underway by the Firearm Licensing Authority FLA into the discovery of a machine that is capable of manufacturing firearms. It was found on a property in Manchester 2 weeks ago. News Rewind understands that the machine was found while the FLA was carrying out investigations into a high number of permit requests from 8 individuals in Manchester to purchase a large quantity of ammunition. The requests were made last month for a total of 100,000 rounds. Reports are that the gun-making machine was found on a property belonging to one of the 8 individuals who the FLA was investigating. It's understood that the individual applied for a permit to purchase 12,000 rounds of ammunition last month. CEO of the Firearm Licensing Authority, Shane Dalling, noted that the FLA has notified the necessary bodies and personnel about the existence of the machine.
We can confirm that the FLA is aware of the existence of that machine, and we are continuing investigations into the matter. We have advised the Ministry of National Security and other security personnel about the presence of this machine in Jamaica, and we are carrying out extensive investigations into the matter at the moment.
Amendments to the Firearm Act are coming. They will include a number of new offenses such as trafficking, dealing in, and distributing. More in this report from Michael Sharp.
The Prime Minister noted that it was unacceptable that so many lives were being lost to persons with illegal firearms, and that his administration will deal with it with the seriousness it deserves.
The amendments will also streamline the regulation of the legal firearm trade and the functions and activities of the Firearm Licensing Authority. In this regard, I must emphasize that the ownership of a private firearm is not a right, and therefore a clear need must be demonstrated, and fit and proper standards and detailed due diligence must be applied to the granting of licenses.
On the issue of gangs, the Prime Minister told the House that research is now underway to guide the establishment of a watch list.
Persons placed on the watch list by the courts will be subject to enhanced surveillance and other measures. Mr. Speaker, for too long we have accepted the concept of a Don as an almost legitimate leader in our society. They are able to move freely and conduct their illicit activities as they like. This freedom allows them to have associations and influence over key functionaries in the community and broader society, including law enforcement officers.
He said this was not limited to the police but included immigration and customs, among others.
In other countries, the equivalent of their dons, who plan and execute mass gruesome killings, challenge the authority of the state, and drive fear into citizens, they are placed on watch lists. Their movements are curtailed. This allows the state to limit and better collect information on their activities. It is now time to decisively deal with gang leaders and dons.
The Jamaica Police Federation is now promoting Spanish in law enforcement. It's aiming to maximize education within the police force while embracing training and development. Cordian Barrett has the details.
On day 1 of a 2-day workshop organized by the Jamaica Police Federation, State Minister in the Ministry of National Security, Pernell Charles Jr., highlighted the importance of law enforcers acquiring a second language.
We're speaking about crime fighting in a very comprehensive context where we deal with the prevention of crime and the response to crime. And I believe that preparing ourselves with the capacity to interact with those who will come to our shores, as well as those who will invest in our country, can only make us stronger in carrying out our responsibilities.
Senator Charles noted that acquiring a second language will add to the diverse services of law enforcement.
Police officers are never off duty. The citizens of Jamaica and the visitors to our shores continue to look to the members of the JCF on a daily basis for the dynamic service that is expected. And I believe that this workshop will support your effort to become prepared for that task.
He reiterated that although Jamaica's official language is English, it's important for the police force to proactively build its capacity to engage speakers of foreign languages. In the meantime, the state minister also chided those who speak ill of the police.
Everything is the police officer. And even those persons that are quarreling about police and talking bad about police, if something happened to them, it's only two names them call out: Jesus and police.
The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, has accepted the government's offer to pay retroactive salaries to its members this month. This comes less than a week after the teachers took industrial action. Kimberly Wright tells us more.
The JTA said the payment would be unusual in light of the fact that salary negotiations have not been concluded or a heads of agreement signed. JTA Secretary General Baron Farquharson explained that the Ministry of Finance, having heard of the rejection of the offer, wrote to the JTA requesting that it be treated as an advance of payment. The teachers will be paid the retroactive amounts next week. The 5% increase will cover the first year of the proposed 4-year deal. In the meantime, public sector nurses could also receive retroactive salaries this month. This follows deliberations between the Nurses Association of Jamaica, NAJ, and the Finance Ministry on Monday and Tuesday. NAJ President Carmen Johnson said the association hopes that payments can be made by the end of March, based on the agreement reached between the parties. She stated that the parties could be close to a settlement.
What we have sought to have is consensus as to the way forward, and with the understanding that we have not closed negotiation and that it is not yet completed. But what we have gotten some agreement to is to the payment of the retroactive going forward as we seek to conclude negotiation, hopefully by the end of April. But what we do know is that within the next 2 weeks we should be meeting again.
People's National Party PNP caretaker for Clarendon Southeastern, Patricia Duncan Sutherland, is expressing concerns about what she describes as prevalent and a disgraceful use of state resources for biased political gain. This follows a controversial statement by State Minister for Finance, Rudyard Spencer, at a Jamaica Labour Party meeting in Belfield, Manchester last Sunday. The details in this report.
At the meeting, Mr. Spencer reportedly promised to increase assistance for labor rights through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, now that a member of the party is the board chairman. Many persons have since called for his resignation. However, he is arguing there is no reason for him to resign, maintaining that he was merely seeking to assure people that there would be an end to political bias at RADA. Mrs. Duncan Sutherland claims that there have long been problems of political victimization in the Clarendon Southeast constituency held by Spencer. She wants the government to ensure that the allocation of public resources is more closely scrutinized and that members of parliament be mandated to hold constituency development fund consultations with community members and provide reports on all expenditure.
We take a break. News Rewind will be right back with the top business stories. Welcome back to News Rewind. Now for the top business stories of the past week. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has announced that the Tourism Workers' Pension Scheme should be in place by the middle of this year. The Pensions Committee, which is chaired by retired actuary Daisy Koch, is completing the preliminary processes related to the scheme. 2 sensitization sessions were held on Sunday with workers following similar meetings with employers. The proposed legislation will be sent to the Chief Parliamentary Council shortly for review before submission to Parliament. Mr. Bartlett says Jamaica's tourism sector is no longer regarded as a seasonal industry, as the island is deemed an all-round destination where the workers now have sustainable jobs. Minister without a portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Dr. Horace Chang, says in order for the business process outsourcing BPO sector to attract more young professionals, greater effort must be made to demonstrate the sector's services far exceed call center operations. Addressing the official opening of new BPO firm Concentrix Global at the Montego Bay Free Zone in St. James recently, Dr. Chang noted that there is common misconception that the BPO sector primarily entails call center operations for low-paying jobs, which he dispelled. He pointed out that the industry offers Jamaicans the opportunity to work for Fortune 500 companies on applications such as tech support, finance functions, debt collection and insurance claims, and general customer care and experience, in addition to basic call center operations. And that's your News Rewind for this week. I'm Shane Masters. Thanks for watching.